Right, friends, welcome back to Learning Space. This is a quick wrap up, fourth module. This module is exclusively policies and programs, most important from your prelims perspective. Tomorrow's module, that is the fifth module, consists of exclusively ecology and environment and science and technology. Friends, please watch this entire series of 16 modules which are available in both Learning Space Digital and the YouTube channel. Friends, let us start with PM CARES Fund, which stoked a lot of controversy in recent times. If you look at the PM CARES Fund, no budgetary support, no parliamentary oversight. It is not public authority. That means it is not under the purview of RTI Act. Then no CAG audit. Then donations are tax exempt. Friends, it has got several similarities with the Prime Minister's National Relief Fund, but two important differences, please do not forget. First one is they can be adjusted against corporate social responsibility. This is the major difference. If you look at Prime Minister's National Relief Fund and Chief Minister's Relief Funds, CSR donations are not adjustable. Second important difference is foreign donations are accepted as far as PM CARES Fund is concerned, but it is not the case when one looks at Prime Minister's National Relief Fund as well as Chief Minister's Relief Funds. I hope this much is more than enough, but from your examination perspective, PM CARES Fund is most important. PM CARES Fund and Prime Minister's National Relief Fund both are not under the CAG purview. Both do not have budgetary support. Both are not under the parliamentary oversight. These are the important aspects. Both are not public authorities. But the important differences, two differences, under PM CARES Fund, CSR that can be adjusted when somebody is giving donation, when some corporate is giving donation to the PM CARES Fund. Second important aspect is foreign government donations are accepted under PM CARES Fund, but not under Prime Minister's National Relief Fund. I hope you got clarity. There are several similarities, but 2-3 important differences between PM CARES Fund and Prime Minister's National Relief Fund. Right, friends? Constitution or enabled legislations. Friends, 3 union territories in our country have legislative assemblies. One, of course, yet to be constituted. And if you look at these 3 legislative assemblies, one is the constitutional construct. That means Delhi Legislative Assembly, that is enshrined in the constitution itself. But when you look at Puducherry and yet to be constituted Jammu and Kashmir, these are through enabled legislations. That means constitution provides for enabled legislation by the parliament. So through enabled legislations, the legislative assemblies of Puducherry and Jammu and Kashmir are constituted. Of course, Jammu and Kashmir assembly is yet to be constituted. This is the major difference, don't forget. And please do not forget, Puducherry has got no restrictions as far as state list related entries are concerned. But there are some restrictions as far as Delhi Legislative Assembly is concerned, right? Police, public order and land, these are excluded. But if you look at J&K Assembly, police and public order, these are excluded, but land will continue to be under the purview of the Legislative Assembly of J&K. So this is the important difference, please do not forget. Then continuation of Hindi as official language. India has got 2 official languages, Hindi and English. Please do not forget. Continuation of Hindi as the official language, that is constitutional construct. But continuation of English as the official language, that is through enabled legislation. That means for the first 15 years, English as official language, that was enshrined in the constitution, but subsequently this is left to the parliament for legislation. So friends, through the parliamentary legislation, we are continuing English as the official language, but Hindi as the official language. That is constitutional construct. These things please do not forget. Then departure from rules. Last year, the president's rule in Maharashtra, that was revoked. Normally, union cabinet approval is to be taken, but without union cabinet approval, citing Rule 12 of the Government of India Transaction of Business Rules 1961, because this Rule 12 gives some exceptional power to the Prime Minister. What is that power? Departure from rules. That means Prime Minister can condone the departure from rules. Suppose if any rule is to be violated, some departure is to be done, then Prime Minister has got that power. Of course, post facto approval by Union Cabinet will be taken, that is different story. But in the early hours, President's rule was invoked by quoting this Rule 12 of the GOI Transaction of Business Rules 1961. Friends, this was also invoked previously, but for minor aspects. For the major aspect like revoking the President's rule, this was invoked for the first time. So this is the important aspect, please don't forget. Prime Minister has got the power to look at departure from the rules, and by using that power, President's rule was revoked without Union Cabinet approval. Subsequently, post facto approval was taken. That is different story. Friends, electoral bonds. Electoral bonds are bearer bonds, just like currency notes. If I have 100 rupees note in my pocket, there will not be any name on that. If some thief takes my note, he can use it, and that is bearer bond without any name, right? Then State Bank of India can issue these bearer bonds. And friends, these are anonymous from the perspective of voters like you and me, but they are not anonymous as far as Government of India is concerned, as far as State Bank of India is concerned. And the rules permit, please listen carefully, rules permit information can be given with regard to the bonds as far as investigation agencies or courts are concerned. Another important aspect is the validity is 15 days. These are anonymous from the perspective of the voter, but not from the perspective of the government. That is the important point to note. And know your customer, that is mandatory. Hence, it indicates it is clean money. Black money cannot come. It is clean money. That is positive aspect. Negative aspect is it is anonymous. Right? From the perspective of the voter, this is very, very important. Then another important aspect is no limit. There is specifically no limit on the purchase of electoral bonds. Second important aspect is any Indian citizen, please keep in mind, any Indian citizen or a body incorporated in India. That means if a multinational company establishes its subsidiary in our country, then that multinational company, when its subsidiary is there in our country, it can purchase electoral bonds without limit. Right? So there is no limit. Indian citizen, body incorporated in our country, KYC is mandatory. State Bank of India can only issue. These are bearer bonds, 15 days validity. Friends, this is about electoral bonds. Look at Section 81M of the Representation of the People Act 1951. Friends, when somebody is convicted in the corruption cases based on the Prevention of Corruption Act 1988, what is the disqualification? If somebody is convicted only with a fine, the conviction may be fine or jail term. If somebody is convicted only with a fine under the Prevention of Corruption Act, disqualification is for 6 years, right? And if somebody is punished with imprisonment, that disqualification is until 6 years after release. Suppose somebody has faced jail term of 2 years After that, the disqualification will be for 6 years subsequent to that. These things please do not forget. Look at the next one about electoral funding. Previously, 7.5% cap is there on the company donations. This has gone away. Companies can give unlimited donations. Friends, a body incorporated in our country, that means multinational companies, a subsidiary which is incorporated in India, that can give unlimited donations, right? Previously there was 7.5% cap, that has gone away, and shell companies can come up for political donations. That's what experts say. Then cash donations from one source, that is limited to rupees 2000 per year. Then no requirement to disclose contributions. That means cash donations are up to rupees 2000, but when the donation is up to rupees 20,000 by check or through digital means, there is no need to disclose the contribution. Who contributed how much? That need not be disclosed up to rupees 20,000. This is the second thing. And of course, this electoral bonds, they are anonymous. Then the next one is no cap on the expenditure of the political parties. When elections are there, there are limits on the candidates contesting the assembly elections, Lok Sabha elections, but not on the political parties. This is the important aspect. Friends, when one looks at NIA Act amendments, it created controversy. Similarly, UAPA amendments created controversy. I would like to spend 2-3 minutes on these things. NIA Act, they can enter any state without asking the permission of the state government. Friends, the permission of the state government is not required. Whereas CBI is concerned, when CBI wants to enter the state government, permission from the state government is required. But general consent is given by most of the states, that is different story. But as far as NIA is concerned, there is no permission required. Then, as per the amendments, one important aspect is they can designate sessions courts as special courts. That means there is a lot of delay as far as the establishment of special courts are concerned. Keeping that in mind, there is amendment which says that existing sessions courts can be converted into special courts. Then NIA can investigate cases related to human trafficking, counterfeit currency, etc. That means when these issues are related with terrorism or not, that is different story. But standalone cases like this human trafficking, counterfeit currency, they can be dealt with by NIA. Please don't forget, this got facilitated with the amendments. Then power lies with NIA for forfeiture of property. Previously it was with the Director General of Police, but now that power was taken out. Or you can say NIA chief has got the power to forfeit the property. So friends, these 3-4 important amendments were made as far as NIA Act is considered. These are important from your examination perspective. Then UAPA amendments. This facilitates designation of a terrorist. Previously, terrorist organizations were designated, but now with the amendments, terrorist can be designated by the Union Home Minister. Already some terrorists were designated, right? Then appeal with the Home Ministry. And here, if there is no result within 45 days, then an independent committee can be formed. Friends, appeal, independent committee, all these mechanisms are non-judicial, very, very important. There is no judicial interference as far as this UAPA amendments are concerned. That means when somebody is designated as a terrorist, judiciary does not come into picture. Whatever appeal mechanism that lies with the department, then maximum custody 180 days without charge sheet. These are the important aspects, please don't forget. Then scandalizing the court. This is quite often in the news. In this context, please do not forget the contempt of court. That power is with Supreme Court and High Courts. Supreme Court and High Courts derive their power from the Constitution. Please do not forget. Second important aspect is lower courts don't have contempt of powers. When the contempt involves the lower courts, then under those circumstances, High Court can take action. This is the important aspect. Please don't forget. Right? When one looks at contempt of court, of course, Constitution gives powers to the Supreme Court and the High Courts. But next important aspect is Contempt of Courts Act 1971 that defines what is contempt, what type considered as contempt. All these things are mentioned in 1971 Act. Please do not forget. Friends, in this context, please don't forget civil contempt. Civil contempt means, please don't forget, if court has given some order and you are not obeying it, that is civil contempt. Then criminal contempt. Criminal contempt, if you see, it is defined in section 2C. First one is 2C1. This is scandalizing the court. That means any publication, any tweet or any act which scandalizes. The meaning of scandalizing is nothing but lowering the authority of any court. When it lowers the authority of the court, that is considered as scandalizing. Friends, it is subjective and it is not exactly clear whether this scandalizing is from the perspective of the court or individual judge. There are varied interpretations. There is a subjectivity. So friends, it is not clear. Scandalizing the court only talks about lowering the dignity of the court or lowering the dignity of the judge. Friends, it is subjective, and this scandalizing means lowering the authority of any court. The actions, the tweets, the publications, if they result into lowering the authority of any court, that is scandalizing the court, right? And the next important aspect is, as far as individual judge is concerned, that is in this particular Prashant Bhushan case, the individual judge related comments are considered as scandalizing the court. Please do not forget. But there is a lot of subjectivity is there. And as per this 2C1, that talks about publication or act which scandalizes or lowers the authority of any court. When some allegations or when some tweets are there against Chief Justices, that is construed as scandalizing the court. In the recent Prashant Bhushan case, please do not forget. There are other clauses also. Here you see 2C2 that talks about prejudices or interferes with any judicial proceeding. At the same time, interferes or obstruct the administration of justice. These two also comes under contempt of court. Please don't forget. So friends, these three constitutes the criminal contempt of the court. Please do not forget the civil contempt of the court, that is disobeying the court orders, and criminal contempt of the court. There are three aspects. One is scandalizing the court. Second one is interferes with any judicial proceeding. Then interferes or obstructing the administration of justice. Friends, these three constitutes criminal contempt. Then the next important aspect is here no contempt of power for the lower courts. That means contempt powers are not given to the lower courts. It allows the truth as a defense. Suppose if somebody has made some allegations, subsequently if he produces some truth, it is considered as a defense, right? Then punishment up to 6 months in jail or a fine of rupees 2000 or both. That means for the contempt of court, the punishment prescribed is up to 6 months, punishment up to 6 months in jail or a fine of rupees 2000 or both. This is about the scandalizing the court, or you can say in general this contempt of court. Please do not forget, right? Let us look at the next one. Code on Wages Act, as well as Consumer Protection Act, as well as Transgenders Act. These are important from your exam perspective. Code on Wages Act. several labor related acts as well as rules and regulations which were in vogue previously. They were all compiled and being combined into 4 codes. Out of the 4 codes, one code, that is Code on Wages Act, that was passed. Please do not forget Code on Wages Act. Let me tell you 5 to 6 important aspects as far as Code on Wages Act is concerned. First one is, it is applicable equally for formal and informal sector. That is the first important aspect. So friends, Code on Wages Act, that is equally applicable for formal sector and informal sector. Then domestic workers are also covered, most important one. Then 100% employees, that means it covers total employees. This is the most important aspect. Both the formal, informal, domestic workers. But Mahatma Gandhi Narega, that is outside Code on Wages Act, because of the simple reason the employer-employee relation is not well defined as far as Mahatma Gandhi Narega is concerned. Similarly, another important aspect is health care is outside the Consumer Protection Act. These things please do not forget. Then this right to sustenance, that means that is the main theme, how the person will sustain. For that, floor wages, that will be in fact clearly identified. That means what should be the floor wage geography wise. Very, very important. Floor wage, that will be decided by the center geography wise. And that is based on living standards of workers, but not based on occupation. Most important one, floor wages, these are decided based on living standards of the workers, not based on occupation. So friends, right to sustenance, that is the main theme of Code on Wages Act, please do not forget. And floor wages, they are decided by the central government in consultation with others, that is different story. And once the floor wages are fixed, these are fixed based on geography wise. That means the floor wages may be different in Mumbai and Aurangabad. Friends, another important aspect is that is based on living standards. After that, minimum wages must be higher than the floor wages. They cannot be lower than the floor wages. Then another important aspect is minimum wages. These are based on skills and geography. Does not depend on type of employment, right? And minimum wages are to be revised not exceeding 5 years. So these are the important aspects of this Code on Wages Act. Then Consumer Protection Act. Consumer Protection Act, please do not forget, there is one regulator, that is Central Consumer Protection Authority. Central Consumer Protection Authority, it has got its own investigation wing. It can launch class action suit. That is another important aspect, please don't forget. Class action suit, that can be launched by Central Consumer Protection Authority or CCPA. Friends, as far as this Consumer Protection Act 2019 is concerned, the healthcare is outside its purview. Then there are penalties for the endorsers. Suppose some film star endorses, then if it is found not up to the mark, there are some problems with regard to the product, then penalty can be imposed on the film star. So this is one important feature. Then mediation. Mediation cells can be established. Mediation is one important aspect of this act. Then product liability. That means because of some faulty product, some damage happens, that liability, that is to be paid. So that is product liability. And previously, as per Consumer Protection Act 1986, product liability that was there through the civil courts. But now product liability, that is made part of this Consumer Protection Act 2019. Then mediation cells, I have already told you, e-commerce and new age businesses are all part of this Consumer Protection Act. Please don't forget, whether it is online, whether it is offline, all are covered under this Consumer Protection Act. Complaint anywhere. From anywhere you can complain and video conferencing is allowed for the inquiry. Then new age businesses all are included. Then of course there's compensation for product liability. The main difference is previously it was through civil court. Now product liability that is available through the consumer court, please don't forget. Another important aspect is district court that can give up to rupees 1 crore, state 1 crore to rupees 10 crore, then national above rupees 10 crore. And as I have already told you, CCPA that has got its own investigation wing and it can launch a class action suit on behalf of number of consumers. Right friends? Transgenders. This is one important aspect. Friends, the begging that is decriminalized. This is most important one because initially at the draft stage, begging was criminalized. But subsequently, because of the pressure from various organizations, begging was decriminalized. Second important aspect is self-perceived gender identity. With the self-perceived gender identity, district magistrate, he can give certificate that will act as proof of identification. And when district magistrate refuses, there is no appeal mechanism. That is the drawback of this act. There is no appeal mechanism. And 2-3 important aspects I would like to tell you. One is there is no appeal when the district magistrate refuses. Second is there is no reservation in the employment and educational institutions and no specific definition of discrimination. When there is discrimination, imprisonment of not less than 6 months, extendable up to 2 years with a fine, that is there as per the act, but discrimination is not clearly defined. No reservation in the jobs and education. And third one is most important one, when the district magistrate refuses to give certificate, there is no mechanism of appeal. These 2-3 important aspects, please do not forget. Decriminalized begging. Begging is not a crime as far as this particular act is concerned because the several transgenders depends on begging for the livelihood. So therefore, it is not a crime. This is one important aspect. Then central government constitutes National Council for Transgender Persons. This is headed by Union Social Justice Minister and there are 5 representatives from the transgender community, 5 experts from non-governmental organizations. Right friends, this is about transgenders. Please do not forget, self-perceived identity is accepted. District magistrate gives the certificate. There is no appeal. If district magistrate is not issuing, then discrimination is not clearly defined. And another important aspect is there is no reservation in education and employment. These are the salient features of Transgenders Act. Friends, Consumer Protection Act, Code on Wages Act, Transgenders Act, these are very, very important as far as your examination is concerned. Now let us look at random thoughts. Before going ahead, today is 10th September, Thursday. In today's Connect the Dots, which is Level 3 High Impact module, we are going to discuss 4 important aspects. That means 4 questions were posed. We are going to derive answers for those 4 main questions. One is agriculture sector reforms subsequent to 1991, then infrastructure financing and development finance institutions. What are the systemic differences in the insurgencies of Northeast India and Central and Eastern part of India? Then increasing spending on education and health by the common man through the private sector that is causing hardship to the common man. These 4 aspects we are going to deliberate in Connect the Dots today. Let us come back to the discussion. The gold reserves, friends, when gold is there, several aspects comes to my mind. During the past 2-3 years or so, gold imports are showing declining trend as far as India is concerned. Across the globe, several countries are increasing gold reserves as part of their foreign exchange reserves. Very, very important. Across the globe, countries are increasing gold reserves as part of their foreign exchange reserves. Part of the reason is to wean away from dollar, to reduce excessive dependence on dollar, especially if you look at countries like Russia, China, they are increasing gold reserves to reduce their dependence on dollar. All of you are well aware, dollar is the predominant currency as far as international transactions are concerned, right? Let us look at the statement. The gold reserves held by central bank in India is much less than the gold with the private individuals or trusts. Friends, private individuals and trusts, they hold huge quantum of gold, whereas the gold with the Reserve Bank of India as part of the foreign exchange reserves is just around 600 tons, right? And the gold lying with the public, that runs into somewhere around 20,000 tons or so, right? And the most important aspect is, in some countries like United States of America, there most of the gold that is with the central bank than the public. So therefore, this part of the statement is wrong, right? And the first part is correct, second part is wrong. In some developed countries, gold is predominantly purchased as part of the foreign exchange reserves. Then lack of deepening of the bond markets is one of the failures of Indian financial system. Absolutely correct. Lack of deepening of the bond markets to issue long-term bonds, that bond market is missing. And when you look at infrastructure financing, two things are missing in our country. One is development of development financial institutions, or DFIs. DFIs, that is in fact missing as far as present day financing is concerned. After independence, some development finance institutions like ICICI, IDBI, IFCI, they were planned and they were in existence for major part during the 20th century after the independence. But now ICICI was no more in existence, it became bank. IDBI was no more in existence, it became bank. So therefore, with the exit of IDBI, ICICI as development finance institutions, now there is a need felt for development finance institutions. Please do not forget, lack of deepening of the bond markets is one of the failures of Indian financial system. Absolutely correct. And at present, lack of proper development finance institutions, that is another failure as far as Indian financial system is concerned. Friends, mangroves release methane. This is absolutely correct. Friends, mangroves, they store huge carbon. Friends, their storage capability of carbon, that is much higher than the tropical rainforests. So friends, one important aspect is whatever carbon stored by mangroves, that is known as blue carbon, please don't forget. At the same time, they release methane also, but in comparison to the blue carbon stored, the methane released, that is not substantial, only it offsets around 20% of the blue carbon stored. This is the important aspect. As per Indian Constitution, cess can be levied only by the Union government. Absolutely wrong. Cess can be levied not only by the Union government but also by the state governments. Please don't forget, that is as per Indian Constitution. Friends, once cess is collected, that goes to Consolidated Fund of India. After that, it is appropriated to particular aspect for which that is collected. Then President's rule can be revoked only with the prior approval of the Union Cabinet. This is wrong because some extraordinary power is there under Rule 12 of the business rules we learnt a short while ago. Then in Indian banking system, the reduction in the lending rates is commensurate with the reduction in the repo rate. Absolutely wrong. Friends, this is monetary transmission that is not taking place. If the repo rate is reduced by 1%, the interest rate structure in the banking system, that is getting reduced by around 0.5%, 0.4%, something like that. So as per various news reports, you quite often come across that in India, proper monetary transmission is not taking place. This is most important one. Proper monetary transmission that is not taking place in India. That is the precise reason for some types of loans. Reserve Bank of India specified external benchmarks, right? So friends, for some type of loans, now Reserve Bank of India told to take external benchmarks, that is to ensure proper monetary transmission, right friends? MCLR, that is marginal cost of funds based lending rate. When banks are following MCLR, proper monetary transmission is not taking place. That is the precise reason why the Reserve Bank of India recently said or asked the banks to link their loans interest rates on some particular sections with that of the external benchmark. One of the external benchmark is repo rate, please don't forget. Then Open Credit Enablement Network, that is intended for increasing the credit offtake. Friends, this was recently proposed. Open Credit Enablement Network or OCEN. OCEN is intended for increasing the credit offtake for MSMEs. That is for democratizing the credit. We recently discussed in the editorials. Groundnut yields highest oil per hectare among all the oil seed crops. Absolutely wrong. Palm oil, please don't forget, palm oil that yields highest oil per hectare, right? Then India does not allow import of refined palm oil or palm olive. This is wrong. In fact, the Indian manufacturers, or you can say oil refiners who refine palm oil, they are asking for banning the import of refined palm oil. But India imports both the crude as well as refined palm oil. This is the important aspect, please don't forget. India imports both the crude as well as refined palm oil. Then across the world, Gini coefficient for wealth is much higher than Gini coefficient for incomes. Friends, when Gini coefficient is high, what does this mean? This means inequalities are more. Across the world, if you see, Gini coefficient for wealth are higher. That is absolutely correct. That means wealth inequalities across the world are higher than income inequalities. This is the most important aspect, please don't forget. Then the net agri trade surplus increased substantially in recent times. This is wrong. In fact, in recent times, the net agri trade surplus that has not increased, right? GST Council can impose any special rate for a specified period to raise additional funds during natural calamity or disaster. This is absolutely correct. Friends, GST Council can impose any special rate for a specified period to raise additional funds during natural calamity or disaster. Then, chance of mother to child transmission is high for hepatitis C in comparison to hepatitis B. This is absolutely wrong. If you look at hepatitis B, there is a chance of around 80-85% mother to child. Whereas hepatitis C is concerned, there is a chance of around 2 to 8% or so. So friends, hepatitis B transmission rate from mother to child is very high. That is the precise reason why the vaccination is to be done for the newborn child within 24 hours as far as preventing hepatitis B is concerned. Please do not forget, hepatitis A, hepatitis B have vaccines, whereas hepatitis C that does not have vaccine, and hepatitis E there is vaccine but it is not normally available. So friends, normally from your examination perspective, hepatitis A, B, C comes into picture. I would like to tell you 2-3 important aspects. Hepatitis A and E, the first one and the last one, the transmission is because of contaminated food, contaminated water. So through the contaminants which we take, through those contaminants, this spreads hepatitis A virus, hepatitis E virus, that spreads through the food-water contamination. Whereas hepatitis B, C, D, that transmits through the bodily fluids, blood transfusions, and when injections are having some contamination. Under those circumstances, hepatitis B, C, D spreads. This is the important aspect. As far as vaccination is concerned, hepatitis A has vaccine, B has vaccine, C has no vaccine, and mother to child transmission, there is highest possibility as far as hepatitis B is concerned. These things are very, very important. Then India's first ever undersea optical fiber cable project was between Chennai and Andaman and Nicobar Islands. Absolutely correct. It was recently commissioned. With this, let us conclude today's lecture. Have a nice day. Thank you.